Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is our case study presentation from group number 4 for our microeconomy subject code ATF20703. For our first case study, which is about poverty and education, this case study is saying about the microeconomy reality of a rubber taper's family in Pahang. The situation for this case study is about a low income of a family rubber taper in Pahang who cannot afford their school for 9 children, and the decision he put 2 children out of school. This is the rationale, which is the necessary sacrifice to save the education of the remaining 6 children. Without this, 4 more would likely to drop out. So the government response towards this situation is provide the uniform, textbooks, and 300 ringgit per month allowance. There is actually 3 core microeconomic definition. First is scarcity. It is actually the fundamental economic problem of having seemingly unlimited human wants in a world of limited resources. Other than that, there is also choice. That the definition is the decision to pick one alternative over others. Rational choices aim to maximize utility under constraint. For the third definition, it is actually opportunity cost. The definition is the value of the best alternative obtained when a decision is made. It represents the sacrifice of pursuing a particular choice. Thank you. Now, let's apply this concept in this case study into the reality. So, the economic theory is scarcity. As we know, scarcity is actually a resources that have less in the world other than what we want. For the budget constraint is actually about income that limits consumption bundles. So, human needs to do a rational choice, which is to maximize benefits within the budgets. Okay, let's move to the main question. Does it actually eliminate the scarcity? The answer is no. Government aid doesn't eliminate the scarcities. Scarcity is actually a permanent economic state due to limited resources and unlimited human wants. While aid helps with education, the family still faces limits on other basic necessities like food, healthcare, and also housing. And for your information, households cannot meet all what they want due to the finite resources. Economics explained in real life. The family's decision was a rational choice to maximize utilities under extreme poverty. Scarcity is actually universal. Government aid mitigates the effect of poverty, does not remove the fundamental conditional of scarcity. The cause of poverty explanation is the true cause isn't just money. It is the opportunity cost of human potential loss when children leave school.
So we move to study case 2, which is the ministry wants the retail war by the tobacco firms. So for the case summary of study case 2 is to tackle the price war continuing among tobacco companies. So the Ministry of Health has planned to introduce a minimum retail price for all cigarette brands. This price warfare has led to cigarettes being cheaper despite annual excise increases in taxes on tobacco products, which has made smoking more attractive, especially to the youth. The ministry cited that following higher prices, there was also a rise in smuggling and imitation cigarettes. The ministry recommended declaring, among other approaches, mandatory registrations of tobacco companies and requiring cigarettes packaging to be health-warned with graphics and with changes every 2 months. Question number 1. So why did the Health Ministry propose a minimum price for all cigarettes? The Health Ministry has suggested that the introduction of a minimum price to put an end to the competition between tobacco companies in lowering the retail price. Regardless of the annual duty increases, lower prices encourage more people, particularly young people, to smoke. So the Health Ministry aims in introducing a minimum price was to encourage companies to raise cigarette price, making them less affordable and ultimately discouraging smoking because it is a well-known health-related risk. Question number 2. In the second paragraph, it was mentioned that the annual duty or tax on cigarettes has increased. So by using a diagram, we have to explain what will happen to the market price and the quantity of cigarettes, assuming that the demand is constant. So basically, the case study notes that the annual duty or tax on cigarettes has risen. An increase in tax means cigarettes manufacturers will pay more tax to the government for each unit of cigarettes produced, which directly increases their cost of production. So microeconomically, an increases in production cost means firms are not as willing to produce or to able to produce the same quantity of the goods at each price. So as a result, the supply curve of cigarettes shifts to the left from S to S1, indicating a decrease in supply. If you assume that the demand for cigarettes remains unchanged, supply will shift leftward and create new market equilibrium. In the previous equilibrium, the intersection of the demand curve and the supply curve determined the initial market price and the quantity. However, with the increases in tax, the supply curve has shifted leftward, and when it intersects with the unchanged demand curve, there is a larger market price than previous. So the reason for this is because by taking away the quantity of cigarettes in relation to the same level of demand, there will be upward pressure on the selling price. As a result, the cigarettes and smoking will at least be being sold at a higher price to the consumers. Along with the price rise, the equilibrium quantity in the market would decrease. At the new higher prices, fewer consumers are willing or able to obtain cigarettes, and the firms provide this amount supply due to their higher production costs. So the overall result is that the quantity transacted in the market falls. This conclusion is also consistent with the basic theories of microeconomics that state increased taxes means a decrease in supply, which leads to an increase in price and decrease in quantity sold. So the increases in the annual duty on cigarettes results in two main effects, which is first an increase in the market of priced cigarettes, and second is a decrease in the number of cigarettes purchased and also consumed. This is consistent with the usual effects of taxations on goods, particularly for goods targeted for consumption reductions like cigarettes.
Besides imposing a minimum price, explain to another measure taken by government to discourage smoking. 1. All cigarette manufacturers must register with the Ministry of Health. This registers all the government to control how products are manufactured, set marketing and distribute guidelines, monitor everything activity so that they do not easily reach your people. This measure help reduce new users, thus reducing their overall demand for cigarette products. Next, to health awareness campaign by Healthy Canada, the government ran various health campaigns through media such as television, internet, and other public platforms. Campaign focus provide information on healthy lifestyle, educate the public about the apparent health effect of smoking. This campaign support healthy program in school and another public program. The goal is to reduce cigarette as important to overall health of the communicate. The case study noted that the annual duty or tax on cigarette has increased. The increase in tax means the cigarette product will pay more tax to the government for each unit of cigarette product, which indirectly increase the cost of production. According to microeconomy, the increase in product cost means that firms are firms are not willing to product or able to product and supply the same quantity at each price. Therefore, the supply growth of big cigarettes shift to the lift from S0 to S1, S0 to S1 is indicated at the. Therefore, the supply growth of cigarette shift to the lift from S0 to S1 be indicated described in supply. The original equilibrium is reached at E0 when the price and equilibrium occur at P0 and Q0. However, there is a decline in the demand from the quantity of cigarette from quantity 0 to quantity 1 due to move your customers switching to another sector and public awareness of the danger of cigarette to health. This situation case the price of cigarette to increase from P0 to P1 based on the law of a demand. There is a length described in the demand for cigarette and the price of their good will increase. At the same time, the government's action to change a high price that the market price from cigarette cause the price of cigarettes to be higher than the market price. Therefore, the price of cigarette also increased. An annual increase in the duty of cigarette has two main effects. The first main effect is an increase in the market price of cigarette, and the second is described in the number of cigarette purchased and cost. Therefore, the normal effect of tax on goods, especially for goods target for reduced in consumption such as cigarettes.
Now let's move to case study number 3, which is dwindling supply of long beans from our group, which is group number 4.
Case overview for case study number 3. The perfect storm is the market for long beans is facing a critical shortage due to the few converging factors. First, government intervention. A price ceiling of RM6.50 per kg was imposed to control inflation during Hari Raya. Heavy rains has damaged crops, significantly reducing the harvest, affecting the supplying stock. Thirdly, rising demand. The festive season has naturally increased the consumer demand towards the long beans. So this is market situation before and after price ceiling. So basically, the government imposed a price ceiling on long beans during the Hari Raya festive seasons because of rising prices in essential vegetables to make them affordable for consumers. So a price ceiling is a maximum price set by the government to prevent sellers from charging excessively. This price ceiling, while it aims to protect consumers, can lead to an imbalance in the market by creating a difference between demand and supply. So in the case of long beans, the lower fixed price caused more consumers to purchase, but also lowered the willingness of farmers and wholesalers to sell at a much smaller profits from a supply point of view. The difference between what the consumers wanted and to buy and what the market demanded led to a shortage previously. So the long beans market was in balanced equilibrium at price PE and quantity QE could be determined naturally based on D1 and S1 with no excess or shortage. This price ceiling imposed a maximum price below the equilibrium price for the purpose of affordability, but consumers at price P1 demanded from QD, then producers supplied QS at this price due to reduced profits, resulting in a shortage of long beans. The shortage made it difficult for consumers to buy long beans at ceiling prices, and probably some traders would be likely to sell at a higher price in the black market. And so, the policy, while aiming to help consumers, distorted equilibrium and caused that loss.
Next, I will be presenting about what is a ceiling price, and I will explain two purposes for the enactment of a price ceiling on a product. This topic is important because it relates to how governments control prices to protect consumers and stabilize markets, especially during festive seasons or supply shortage. As you know, a price ceiling is the maximum price set by law for a good or service, usually determined by the government as a pricing control measure. It is typically set below the market equilibrium price to keep essential items affordable. Common examples include food, fuel, and medicine. Next, the main purpose of a price ceiling is to protect consumers and prevent exploitation, especially during festive seasons or supply short. It also helps curb inflation, stabilize the market, and prevent black market activities, and ensuring fair access to essential goods. In this study case, the Malaysian government set a ceiling price of RM6.50 per kilogram for long beans before the Hari Raya Aidilfitri celebration. This was implemented because demand increased during the festive season, while supply decreased due to heavy rains and damaging crops. According to Berita Harian, prices of other vegetables getting higher to 75%, but long bean prices remain stable thanks to the government interventions. In conclusion, a price ceiling is an important tool for maintaining price stability and protecting consumers' welfare. While it helps control inflation and ensures affordability, it must be monitored carefully to avoid unintended consequences such as shortage or black market.
3.3 about market for long beans price ceiling impact. The government imposed a price ceiling on long beans during the Hari Raya festive seasons because of rising price in essential vegetables to make them affordable for consumers. A price ceiling is a maximum price set by the government to prevent sellers from charging excessively. Based on this graph, it shows before government give a impact about price ceiling. The market was in balance. Means equilibrium at a price of P and quantity is Q. It could be determined naturally based on D1 and S1 with no excess or shortage. Then, after government take action to make a price ceiling, the maximum price from P go to P1 and it set below equilibrium price for affordability. It was create a market imbalance because consumers at price P1 demand more QD than producers supplies QS at this price due to reduced profits resulting in a shortage QD to QS of long beans. As the consequences, the shortage made it difficult for consumers to buy long beans at ceiling price, and probably some traders would be likely to sell and at a higher price in the black market, and so that it will make a policy impact while aiming to help consumers distorted equilibrium and cause deadweight loss.
Market fallout presented short term because the price is capital at RM6.50. Farmers have a least incentive to the product. Will consumer want to buy more? It can critique a short term. Black market critique. Seller may bypass the regulated market to sell or higher price elsewhere. It sounds like to Singapore with price are double. Conclusion: will well indeed the price cap increase the short term caused by the range.
Now, let's continue for case study 4, which is Group Stake Dim View of 60 million ringgit lighting bill.
I will present the case summary for study case 4 and the main issue related to the government's allocation of funds for festive events. The case highlight public dissatisfaction with the government decision to allocate 60 million ringgit for festive activities. Under this plan, 2 million ringgit was given to each of the 30 municipal councils. From that, many organizations and citizens believe this allocation is excessive and unnecessary. They argue that the money could have been better spent on development projects that provide long-term benefits, such as improving walking paths, build more public toilets, enhancing public transport, and creating practical public amenities like health centers and fitness corners. Overall, spending on unnecessary things is seen as a waste of taxpayers' money and offers no direct tangible benefits to citizens. In summary, this case reflects the importance of prioritizing public funds for projects that deliver long-term value rather than short-term festive displays. Now, I would like to share my opinion regarding the government's decision to allocate 2 million ringgit per municipal council for festive decoration and light. In my opinion, this decision is inappropriate from a microeconomic perspective. The government faces limited resources and cannot fulfill all the needs and wants of the people. When resources are scarce, the best choice should reflect current priorities. According to the article, the government choose to spend money on decoration mainly to attract tourists. However, this creates a missed opportunity to upgrade public facilities that would provide long-term benefits. For example, the funds could have been used to repair pedestrian paths, provide clean public toilets, and improve public transportation. Spending on temporary beauty results in limit costs because the benefits from public facilities cannot be enjoyed by the people. This decision is inefficient as it only provides short-term benefits compared to long-term social and economic returns. To conclude, the 2 million ringgit allocated to each municipal council should not be spent on temporary decoration and light. Instead, it should be directed towards projects that provide higher social and economic returns, such as improving public facilities and infrastructure. This approach would ensure long-term benefits for both citizens and tourists, rather than short-term festive displays. Now, I will explain the concept of scarcity faced by the government, the choice it makes, and the opportunity cost incurred from its decision. Scarcity in microeconomics means that the goods produced using all resources are less than the goods desired by humans. In this case, the government faced limited financial resources because the 2 million ringgit allocated to each municipal councils could not meet all the needs and wants of the people. The funds were not enough to finance all projects such as public facilities, health, and transportation at the same time. Next, choice refers to selecting goods that maximize satisfaction when resources are limited. Based on the article, the government chose to spend the funds on the decorative items and light during the festive season to attract tourists, rather than using the funds to upgrade public facilities. Other than that, opportunity cost is the next best alternative that is foregone when a choice is made. In this case, the benefits of public facilities such as safer pedestrian walkways, clean public toilets, health centers, mosques, and better transportation system were sacrificed because the funds were used solely on decoration lights. In short, the government's decision reflects the trade-off caused by scarcity. When choosing festive decoration resulted in an opportunity cost of losing long-term benefits from improved public facilities.
Alright, for the question 3 of case study 4, which is what are the basic economics problems and explain why they exist. First of all, the basic economics problem have a 3 item, which is what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. For the first point, that is what to produce. Firstly, every economy are faced with the allocation problem, whereby the determination of the type and amount of goods and services to produce always increase year by year. This is because of the scarcity of resources like land, labor, capital, and materials. In this case study, the government have 2 choices to choose whether to spend money on decorative lighting or to invest in public facilities. And they need to choose one project that can give more impact to the societies. As a result, government choose decorative lighting items that is reflect an allocation decision about what to produce. The second point is how to produce. Governments and firms have to make a decision on the process of production, whether to use labor-intensive or capital-intensive techniques. And the amount of funding is limited. As example, spending 60 million ringgit on lighting is an inefficient method of promoting tourism. It is because of when the cheaper and more effective options are available. For the third point, which is for whom to produce, societies need to think about who will get the benefit from the output of produce. And this implies a decision about the distribution of output between various groups in societies. To relate with the case study, decorative lighting will benefit for tourists for a short period, while public facilities like healthcare center, mosque, and toilet will benefit for general public. For the question, why do this basic economic problem exist? So, these economic problems result from the fundamental issue of scarcity. Means that what kind of the thing that human wants can never be fully satisfied. Like people always make efforts to improve the quality of services. Plus, societies need to make a decision to allocate limited resources because it is impossible to satisfy all wants at a time. Therefore, every decision involves opportunity cost, which is the value of the next best alternative that is sacrificed. For the question that asking about opinion, are goods such as water and air scarce or abundant? And I explain the answer. In my opinion, water and air may seem plentiful because of their natural availability in relatively large quantities. Like from an economic standpoint, these 2 resources are actually scarce, since their availability is increased fastly without degradation of quality. In economics, a research is considered scarce if its availability to humankind is not sufficient enough, or if it cannot fulfill market demands at a zero price. So, in conclusion, the case provides a general scenario of how scarce resources have to be distributed in the interest of the public, and it relates with the basic economic problems faced by the societies where scarcity forces difficult to choices. Plus, it also emphasized the need to consider natural resources such as water and air as scarce, requiring responsible management. That's all from us. Thank you.